What's up guys, it's Tommy here and welcome to a brand new Liverpool transfer news video. And the Spanish outlet Mundo Deportivo is claiming that Liverpool have made several attempts to re-sign Barcelona midfielder Philippe Coutinho. Do you want the prodigal son to return to Liverpool? Coutinho could be back at Liverpool in this summer transfer window if Liverpool wants to do that, because Coutinho's agent also said that if Coutinho ever goes back to the Premier League, his first choice would be Liverpool. And now that Xherdan Shaqiri is on his way to Lyon, Liverpool have sold a foreign player, so we have one spot left. We can sign a 21-year-old or older non-English player, because Shaqiri is going to Lyon. He already was pictured in France, in Lyon, going to his medical. Liverpool agreed a £9.5 million deal for Shaqiri, which I still think that's a little bit low, because Shaqiri is a brilliant, very creative player. He's one of the best players in the Switzerland national team, and they did really well in the Euros, knocking out France, for example. But I think in this today's market, you can only sell players for an amount which the club who is interested in that player is willing to pay. So in the post-pandemic world, probably transfer fees will be a little bit lower for these kind of players. So let me know, do you want Coutinho back at Liverpool? If you are excited about this news, leave a like and let's jump straight into this. And I want to say a huge thank you to OneFootball for sponsoring my channel for this month. OneFootball is the home of football, my favorite app. I've been using it for years. You can find all kinds of football news on there, and also you can find the stats, the latest transfer news. I have been going there almost every day, checking the Liverpool transfer news, because they combine the best and most interesting transfer news and football news. And you can find also interesting videos, stats, analysis, fantasy football tips, and all kinds of interesting football related content on the OneFootball apps. And it's completely free, so what are you waiting for? Make sure to download OneFootball using the link in the video's description, and you support the channel as well that way. And according to Spanish outlet Mundo Deportivo, Liverpool have already probed Barcelona for Philippe Coutinho. Coutinho has been linked with a return to Liverpool very often, and it's rarely claimed that Liverpool are the ones pushing for a deal. So this sounds different. In the past, Coutinho is said to have touched base, and Coutinho's camp has touched base with Liverpool to sound out a potential reunion. Kevin Palmer of the Sunday World has claimed that Coutinho is very keen on a return to Liverpool. And Coutinho's agent Kia Yorapchan has previously discussed the potential possible return to Liverpool, and he has made it clear that Coutinho would very much reconsider and consider a very big possibility of returning to Liverpool. He said, "I think Liverpool lies very deeply in Coutinho's heart. He was a big fan of them throughout the campaign last season. He was wishing for them to win the title, and he has a very strong affinity there. So I think it will be very difficult for him to go to a direct competitor in the Premier League from a personal standpoint." So yes, Tottenham and Arsenal were also interested in Coutinho, but as his agent said, Coutinho would find it difficult to go to a direct rival, because he still has a very deep personal and emotional connection to Liverpool. With Harvey Elliott's magnificent debut against, full debut in front of a packed Anfield against Burnley, it seems like the need for Liverpool to reinforce the midfield is a little bit less urgent, and I would prefer Liverpool, if we have the money, to spend on an attacking player instead of a midfielder. But Coutinho could easily score 10 to 15 goals for Liverpool in the Premier League if he's played regularly, and I think we can accommodate him, because with Henderson and Fabinho we could have two other midfielders who would be really a shield in front of the back four, and Coutinho would be allowed to roam forward and to play the navigator role, basically, that navigator plays right now. And yes, Liverpool probably lack a similar quality of players to Salah and Mane, but we also lack a natural central attacking midfielder, a position that they have not reinforced since the departure of Philippe Coutinho. We don't have the exact type of player that Coutinho is in the Liverpool squad. Somebody who is, especially now that Shaqiri is sold to Lyon, we don't have a creative midfielder who can get goals, who can get assists, whose range of passing is brilliant. And I still think that Philippe Coutinho could do a magnificent job at Liverpool, and I think we should take advantage of Barcelona's dire financial situation. Let's offer them a cut price deal for Coutinho, and I think Coutinho would really want to reunite with Liverpool, seeing now that Liverpool is a much better squad and much better team than when he left. Coutinho would absolutely love to play in front of a packed Anfield, and I think that when he starts scoring again, many Liverpool fans would easily forgive him for the way that he engineered his move to Barcelona, which left a bitter taste in many Liverpool fans' mouths, including mine as well. And I'm sure Jurgen Klopp was a little bit upset, but this is professional football. I think emotions have a certain place and time, but I also think that Coutinho would improve the Liverpool squad right now, and that's the most important. I want Liverpool to have a goal-scoring midfielder, and yes, Coutinho has injury worries. He hasn't played for half a season, but I think if he played the pre-season with Barcelona, I think Coutinho would be welcomed back at Liverpool with open arms. And last season for Coutinho, it was an injury-hit season. He only played 12 La Liga games for Barcelona, but the previous season he was on loan at Bayern Munich, and he scored 8 goals in 23 games for Bayern, and also he had a really good Champions League run, scoring 3 goals in 11 games for Bayern, in winning on road to winning the Champions League, and also he scored 2 goals against Barcelona in the 8-2 demolition. And he also played recently, not very recently, but he also played for Brazil in some World Cup qualifiers. The last time he played football was at the end of December. That's the problem. I think that Coutinho's lacking match fitness. He's still out injured. But if you look at this long term, Coutinho is still not an old player. He still has a good 4 or 5 years at the very top of European football. So I think if you look at it that way, signing him for like 20 million, and Coutinho would also be willing to take a wage cut in order to afford a move to Liverpool. I think it makes sense on a lot of fronts. But let me know if you are a big fan of Coutinho coming back to Liverpool or not. Let me know where do you stand on this debate. And also the Hearts manager has confirmed that Ben Woodburn is joining them on loan. So the loan is for 4 months, and after that the Hearts and Liverpool will reassess how much Ben Woodburn played, and does he want to stay at Hearts? Does Hearts want him to stay at their club? The Hearts manager said this: it's been authorized by Liverpool, Ben Woodburn joining us on loan. It is just a case of getting him up and getting him ready. I'm delighted with this move, and I think Ben Woodburn just needs a little bit of luck to stay fit for the whole season and to play regularly. And he needs the right platform, and I think the Scottish League and Hearts is the right place for him right now, because there he can play regularly, hopefully score goals, get his confidence up, get his fitness up, and get him back to his best. And Neil Jones, who is a very closely connected journalist to Liverpool FC, has said that Liverpool are willing to release Salah for the Gabon-Egypt game, which is the Africa Cup of Nations qualifier and the World Cup qualifier, I think, because Gabon is an amber list country. But they are not willing to release Salah for the Egypt-Angola game, which I think is in Egypt, and that would mean, because Egypt is a red list country, that would mean that Salah would have to quarantine upon his return, which will be a 10-day quarantine, so he could miss 2 Premier League games plus the Champions League game. And obviously Liverpool don't want to be in a situation to be without Salah for 3 games, which would be a lot, especially that Salah, we know that Salah is going away for the Africa Cup of Nations. Liverpool say the same principle applies to any player who is being asked to travel to a red list country and would therefore have to quarantine upon their return. If of course the quarantine rule was lifted players would be allowed to travel, and it's a really difficult situation. James Pearce also said, as things stand, Liverpool won't release Mo Salah to play the Egypt-Angola game because Egypt is on a red list country, but it's less about club against country, it's more a tricky diplomatic situation. Of course, Salah wants to represent his country, but Liverpool don't really want Salah to miss 3 games, obviously. So it's a tricky situation, and I really hope that there will be a solution that can be worked out between the Egypt FA and Liverpool as well. My personal opinion is that there should not be international breaks during a football season. Finish the football season in April, and then in May and early July you can have all the international games, the World Cup qualifiers, international tournaments like the Africa Cup of Nations or the World Cup or whatever, or the Euros or anything else, Copa America. And also, if you need to play World Cup qualifiers or European qualifiers, play them at the end of the season. It would be better that way for everybody, I think. It would be less traveling for footballers, less disruption to the football season for players, and also the international teams would benefit as well, because imagine the international teams would be able to work together for 1.5 2 months, practicing tactics and everything else during the training ground. Because I mean, in 2 weeks, when international teams play every 3 days, they play 3 games in like 10 days or something like that. Can you really get to know each other that well on the pitch? Can you really practice and train tactics? I don't think so. So I think that it would be more ideal if there was just a big international break at the end of each season, and you can have all the international games that you want during that period. But of course, money is king, and the FIFA and UEFA want to milk the footballers and international games for the TV and revenue and everything else, and the players' welfare is secondary to them, sadly. So Liverpool's officials have insisted that they have simply articulated and talked to the Egypt FA that the European Club Association's wide position, which they intend to follow, and that is that no players will be released for international duty if they would have to quarantine on their return to the UK. So let me know, do you agree with that stance? Do you think Liverpool is in the right, or do you think Egypt deserves to have Salah for both their games, even if Salah has to quarantine after that? It's a tricky situation, so let me know what your opinion in the comments below. And I think this is very, very significant and very important, because it is reported that Liverpool would took the same position with a number of its foreign players, and that would mean that maybe Liverpool would also block call-ups for Alisson, Fabinho and Firmino with both Brazil and Chile, where they would have to travel for World Cup qualifiers with Brazil, are on the red list. And imagine missing Alisson, Fabinho, Firmino, Salah and all these kind of players because of COVID protocols. It would be absolutely devastating for Liverpool's Premier League title hopes if we would have to play 3 games without these players. And also during the pre-Burnley press conference, Jurgen Klopp touched upon this issue with players departing for an international break, that we'll see them play 3 games rather than the usual 2. So I think it is right that Liverpool are doing this. I'm with Liverpool on this one. And Virgil van Dijk was absolutely buzzing after the Burnley game. He said even an early kickoff, to see all the fans back is a big buzz. We all enjoy it. It's something that hopefully is going to be normal again, because we need the fans, whether it's at home games but also away games. We need the atmosphere of fans. We have seen how football is. It belongs to the fans, with the fans. I'm just glad everyone is back. Obviously, to win the first 2 games with no goals conceded is just a good thing, something to build on. We are not there yet, we feel that, but the only thing we can do is to try to win the game in front of us, and that's what we did against Burnley. We knew it was going to be very tough. It's always been tough against these guys. They play a certain way, they make it very difficult for us, and they did today again. A lot of physical battles, a totally different challenge to last week. It was good to get the clean sheet again and something to build on good things. There are some things that should be better, but to win here today with the fans back is just great. And Virgil van Dijk hits it the nail on the head. With fans back, it's a totally different game. It's so much better. It's like a different sport watching football with fans back. I just absolutely love the weekend of football. And Jurgen Klopp called it a proper Burnley test that Liverpool passed with flying colours. He said, obviously we were all looking forward to this, a football fest I call it. Nobody left today with any disappointment. All our dear dreams were fulfilled today, atmosphere wise, the best we have had, pretty special. The new idea is to let the game flow. I think we will talk about that frequently over the year, but we won. Alisson made 2 top saves, but one was offside, sensational, and Harvey was part of this performance. He's just 18, but such a mature game. I can understand people asking about him, but I'm not surprised. I love football and all these challenges, but we came from protecting the players more to letting the game flow, and there is a grey air. It doesn't sound like letting the game run makes too much sense. It was a proper test today and we passed it. And if you want to watch, if you like the challenges that Burnley put in today, you should watch wrestling. I think that is a very telling sentence by Jurgen Klopp, because some of the Burnley challenges were over the top. They were very harsh. And yes, I understand Burnley has to play a certain way. They have to ruffle some feathers at Liverpool. They have to roughen up Van Dijk and other defenders. But the way that a Burnley player threw Matip to the ground, I think it was Ashley Barnes, and the way some challenges were potential leg breakers, I didn't like that at all. There is a reason why Harvey Elliott conceded more fouls than anybody else on the pitch, because early on they tried to roughen him up, they tried to injure him. He was fouled 5 times against Burnley, which is really tough. But it showed that Harvey Elliott is a tough kid. He's still only 18 years old, but he's ready for the Premier League. And I'm really excited now for the Liverpool-Chelsea game, especially after the way Chelsea played against Arsenal, the way they commanded that performance, and Lukaku scored on his second debut for Chelsea. It's perfectly set up for an absolute blockbuster Saturday evening game, Liverpool against Chelsea at Anfield. I cannot wait for that. But until then, we have some other Liverpool related videos that we can make, so I'm really excited about that as well. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, have a nice day, see you later, goodbye.